Desert Fox here, your home at tips, tricks, guides, and everything to help you stay alive. Well, some of you probably picked up Battlefield 5 for Christmas, and even though we're about a month past it, some of you are probably struggling a little bit. And one of the things that can help are the right settings. So without any more delay, let's get to it. So, what you want to do is go into Options, Controls, and now we have Basic. We have the invert vertical look, which I leave off just because I don't want my sticks and everything being backwards from what I'm used to. So I just leave that off. Soldier aim sensitivity, I have that kind of high, but I have been playing Battlefield for quite some time now. I recommend probably for the newer players to set that at around between 40 and 50, and as you get comfortable with it, maybe move it up 5 or 10%. I would not recommend moving it up really high and then dropping it back down and moving it back up, because all that's going to do is just kind of just ruin your muscle memory. Next up is the soldier zoom aim sensitivity. I leave that at 60. I just don't want that quite as high as when I'm looking down sight as I'm just hip firing. It gives me a little bit more precision if I have that set lower. And then soldier sprint toggle, I just have that set at the toggle. And for sprint, I have it at double tap. You can still actually press down to run too with it. I just kind of like the double tap because it kind of seems like it's a little bit less stress on my left stick. Double tap to sprint slide, I have that on. Soldier weapon zoom is I have that set to hold toggle. Just I don't know. You can try it out if you like, see what works for you. Steady scope, I have that set to toggle. Request skip revive, hold, and soldier leaning, I have that set to toggle as well. Vehicle aim sensitivity, I'm not really much of a vehicle player, so I don't really play with that too much. I just kind of left it to where it was. Vehicle weapon zoom, set to hold as well. Invert vertical flight is on, and that pretty much does it for the basics. And next we go over to control schemes, and I have pretty much left everything at default here except for the soldier button. I have that set to alternate, just because I like my crouch being on R3 as opposed to being on my circle button. And then I've also have switched my L1 with L2 and R1 with R2, vice versa, because I like using the bumpers as opposed to the joysticks, or not the joysticks, the triggers. My bad there. I'll explain a little bit more about that here in a minute. But yeah, pretty much everything here is just left at default. And then next we go over to advanced. I have aiming, left and right acceleration set at 50. If you remember Battlefield 1, if you played it, when you turned left and right, it was kind of a little bit more like fluid, slower motion. And in Battlefield 4, it was more snappier. Well, if you turn this all the way up to 100, it'll feel more like Battlefield 1. And the more you turn it down, it'll feel more like Battlefield 4 and make it a little bit more snappy. Uniform soldier aiming, I have that on, and that's just so that no matter what gun I grab, no matter if it has a scope on it or whatever, it's going to feel the same as if I was looking down an iron sight. It just helps build a little bit more muscle memory, and I'd recommend turning that on. Vehicle aiming, acceleration, left and right. Like I said, I'm not much of a vehicle player, so didn't really too much with these. Same down here with the vehicle controls. Soldier zoom aim sensitivity, for these I left these alone just because I think consistency is probably one of the most important parts of Battlefield. So you just don't want it feeling wonky all over the time from when you pick up a gun a different gun or whatever, and that's kind of what soldier uniform aiming helps with as well. Playing control sensitivities, pretty much left those where they were at. Like I said, not much of a vehicle player. Vertical aim ratio, I left all this stuff the same. I didn't really mess with it, so I would recommend probably just leaving that where they are set at. And then next there we have controller tuning. I have vibrations turned off just because I don't like it when there's like a bunch of explosions or a tank beside me and my controller's vibrating. It kind of hinders you from being able to make those fine-tuning aiming adjustments that you need. So I just go ahead and turn that off. Center dead zone, I would just leave that alone, because the more you start messing with it, you just start messing stuff up unless you really know what you're doing. And here we have L2 and R2 dead zones, and this is what I was talking about. Reason why I use the bumpers over the triggers is there's dead zones in the triggers. So if you don't want to use custom mapping here, you can always just come up. Alright, so next thing we have up will be gameplay. So let's go in here to the basics. I have the show HUD is on. HUD motion blur is on as well. Player created content is show. Let's see here. What have I really done? Inventory I have set to only when it's active. Most of the stuff I've pretty much just left to its original settings. Kill log I have it set to show, but I have the filter set to nearby because I really don't need to know who's being killed across the map or whatever. I just need to know like what's kind of going on near me. So it kind of just helps, gives me a little bit more information about what's going on around me. Kill log is set to the weapon name. That's preference. I mean, it really doesn't matter. That's not going to help you really too much. Score log weapon name. All this is on. Awards is on. Overlay shadow strength. I mean, basically all this stuff I have left just the same. Let's see here. So crosshair visibility I have set to 100%. Crosshair color I have set to bright red. You can kind of play with this and change it to however you like. I try to use a collar that's not really used a lot in the game, so that way it's constantly sticking out. Let's see here. And now hit indicator. I have that also set to red, so that I know that if I'm hitting somebody, it's red to keep going. Headshot color I have set to bright green, so I know if I'm seeing green hit markers going up, I'm definitely hitting a headshot. Kill color is set to purple. I changed this quite a bit. You know, it's not nothing that's really going to affect you too much there. So let's see, let's get back to where I was. Sorry about this. I got a little bit of a cold. Damage base shape. Armor hit. If I'm hitting a tank, I have it set to dark blue. I mean, once again, it doesn't really matter. Minimap, you know, I have it set to 100%. I think it's basically where it was at when I got the game. Yeah, pretty much gameplay basics are all just kind of left to where they are, except for crosshair collar and hit marker collars. So next we'll move on to advanced, and let's see here. I have camera shake set down as far as it'll go, just because once again, like when you're next to a tank and it's shooting and it makes your screen all shake everywhere, it kind of messes with your aiming and stuff like that. Soldier auto lean, I have that set to off. Just I like to manually do it just because when you have auto lean set on, your more body is exposed than if it's set to manual. So I just prefer to have that more set to manual. Soldier auto peek, I have that on. That'll allow you to look up over a cover as opposed to the side of it. I like that a lot better being on automatic. So parachute auto deploy on or off. I mean, that's once again another preference. This game, Battlefield 5, I really haven't used the parachute that much. Yeah, this context-based order giving on. Soldier aim assist, I leave this on. It's just all been like that since the game came out. Soldier aim assist, I don't really see a difference in it. It doesn't really snap the targets or anything like that. The only problem it is when you come up on like a few soldiers and you're looking down sight, it might grab a hold of another one and take you off and cause you to get killed. So that's something to kind of consider with that. And everybody else is using it, so on console, so why hinder yourself and just you might as well use it too. Network performance graph, I have that set to show when there's problems, or not graph but the stats. This will put a little bar at the bottom of your screen that gives you a bunch of numbers, basically the same thing as the graph does, it just takes up less space. And I have that set to pop up when there's problems, so that way if there's something going on, I'll know that something's happening with my internet or the game or whatever. Network graph, I have that set to hide. Show in menu screens, that is also set to hide. Aim lead indicator, I have that on show, just in case your internet's crapping out on you. It'll let you kind of know that you need to aim a little bit ahead. So yeah, that pretty much sums up the gameplay. Now we'll move on to audio. This is pretty basic here. Master volume all the way up to 100. Music volume, I have that set to 0. Just don't want to hear the music in the game. I'd rather hear gunshots and footsteps. Soldier output configuration, I have it set to audio. It really kind of depends on the headphones that you have. Sound preset, I like war tapes, but then again, I do switch this around from time to time. It just depends on how I feel my ears are working. Announcer's language is set to English. In-game announcer is on. Your VoIP, this is if you want to speak with your squad and other people in the game, so you definitely probably want to leave that on. Subtitles on, text size normal, and then we'll move on to video here. And brightness, I have set to 50. That also kind of adjusts that depending on the map, really. If I'm playing a darker map, I might set that up a little bit higher, because Battlefield 5 is definitely a dark game. And field of view, I have this set at 70. This is kind of like, it'll give you, the higher the number is, the more peripheral vision you'll have, but I wouldn't really recommend going over 74. That'll put it at 90. That seems to be around the sweet spot. I mean, you could try it higher, but it's going to make it look really weird. But and then vehicle, third person field of view, I have that set at 90. I don't even know why I did that. I don't play in vehicles very much, so ADS field of view, I have that set at off, just because I don't really want any less zoomed in from what I'm already seeing. Motion blur, I have that set to 0. That's like when you're turning from side to side really fast, it'll make the screen look blurred, and I just don't really like that. I like to just keep it the way it is, so I set it at 0. ADS, I have this set to off. you know, really wouldn't mess with it. Custom collar settings, I have the set to, I'm pretty sure this might be normal. I'm not really sure. I don't think I messed with it. And yeah, pretty much everything there is just all left. Turned it off, the chromatic irradiation off, film grain, turned that all the way off. Vignette, turn that off. Lens distortion, definitely turn that off. And yeah, that should do it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hit the subscribe button and like if you liked it. And I'll see you in the next video.